Welcome to episode 3 of the Beyond the Game Sports Podcast presented by the Detroit Catholic Central Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cam Ryan, alongside my partner, Frank Lindsay, as we've got Shamrock football to talk about, and we also will welcome you into October with some postseason baseball before Owen and Noah break down the Ryder Cup and the Honolulu Blue. So let's get into it. Boys Bowl Sunday, the most anticipated week on campus. The number one Detroit Catholic Central Shamrocks host their arch rival in Little Brother Rice. The Shamrocks coming off a statement win against De La Salle 36-6, and the Warriors looking to pull off an upset for the first time in a decade. Frank, welcome to the show. What's it been like this week on campus, and what are the key components going to be for the Valiant Blue?
I mean, this week on campus has been amazing. The spirit and the excitement for Boys Bowl has been great. CC's offense, I don't think they're going to have any trouble with the Brother Rice defense if they can establish the run game. The Shamrocks just need to get off to a good start defensively as Brother Rice can show some bursts on offense. Just like last week when CC jumped out to a 29-0 lead in the first half against a top 10 St. Mary's team. Duke Banta has been playing amazing, and with the atmosphere at the Elm, I wouldn't doubt he would do the same. And then CC just needs to play their game and not do too much against, again, this Brother Rice team isn't that great. And they've been playing great against very talented teams like Central Catholic and Orchard Lake St. Mary's. So I think CC's offensive firepower is going to be too much for the Brother Rice team.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the point that you made about the run game. Cedric Williams last week kind of had a breakout game. He had 16 carries, 164 yards on the ground. He averaged 10 yards a carry, and he had 3 touchdowns. So CC was able to play like a slower paced game. They weren't super explosive through the air, but like you said, they established that ground game, and they can just lean on that the entire game. And the defense held it down. I mean, allowing De La Salle to 6 points, I mean, that's a really good stand by the defense. Both of the Big Ten commits up the middle had a sack, and Jack Janda and Benny Azuka. Joshua Atiamo, another pick. We saw him have a pick 6 against St. Mary's 2 weeks ago. And then Rice lost to St. John's 24-17. So, I mean, Catholic League opponent. St. John's isn't great, but Brother Rice definitely has a lot of talent, so for them to drop that game, I think, is a little bit of a surprise. But they always play CC tough. The Boys Bowl is absolutely the biggest game on each of those teams' schedules. And though Rice has a lot of talent at quarterback and certainly through the air, their offensive line's a little bit on the weaker side, though. I think it's going to be all about who wins in the trenches. I think if CC can establish that run game early like they've done all year, I think they'll be just fine. Give me the Rocks by 40. Well, if one rivalry game wasn't enough, we've got another one. American League Wildcard Series. The Detroit Tigers are on the road this week against the AL Central Division champions, the Cleveland Guardians. Tarek Skubal would take the mound for the Tigers in Game 1, looking for revenge against a red-hot Cleveland lineup. Frank, how can the Tigers avoid dropping a third series in the last 2 weeks to the Tribe?
I mean, this is a dream matchup for the Guardians. Coming into the series, they beat the Tigers in the last 5 of their 6 games. And the Guardians' pitching is so deep with great starters like Gavin Williams and one of the best closers in baseball, Emmanuel Clase. It's been a miserable past 2 weeks for the Tigers as they were swept by both the Braves and the Guardians at home. The only silver lining going into this game is that Detroit has arguably the best pitcher in the MLB. Yeah, he did falter in a big game just a week ago in Cleveland, but if he and the Tigers' pitching rotation can pitch well enough, I think the Tigers could pull away in this series. But I don't think pitching is the problem, as the offense hasn't scored 5 runs in a game in the last 2 series.
Yep.
And with Gavin Williams starting Game 1, it's not going to be easy to score, and will likely come down to who has the biggest bat and when they have it, and that'll be the case for the whole series.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I've got Tigers in 2. I think you got to win Game 1 with Skubal on the mound. I don't see Cleveland beating Skubal for a third game in a row. The Tigers just do not lose those games when Skubal's on the bump. And if he can shut it down, there's no doubt in my mind that the offense can spring a couple of runs together. the pitchers, the whole series, they need to put guys away on 2 strikes. We can't have the bloop hits or the infield hits on 2 strikes. It's 2 strikes out of the zone. You got to put these guys away. You can't afford 2 out RBIs either. That is just what's killed them down the stretch in the regular season. It's a huge reason why they lost the division, was because they just can't get guys out with 2 outs. They just always find a way to let a ball drop or something happen and then run score. And I mean, you know how that is. It kills baseball game. And the superstars, they got to be a lot better. Riley Green is somebody who I really want to focus on, because for the last 3 months, he has not been very good. And anyone who's watched the games would completely agree. And I said it on the podcast 2 weeks ago, he does have a strikeout problem. His swing isn't really built for the postseason. His swing is basically built to hit 40 home runs during the regular season to, right field in Comerica Park. So I think he's going to really have to step it up. And the same goes for Torkelson. All these guys in the middle of the order. Gleyber Torres, obviously, he's had probably the most playoff experience out of anyone other than Javi Baez, who's hitting at the bottom of the order. He's going to have to be kind of the spark plug for this offense. Like, these at-bats just have to be a lot better. In these last 15 games for the Tigers, it's just, they've been kind of brutal at the plate. I'm not going to lie. They got to really, they just got to focus on hitting the ball the other way. Like, everyone goes up there and they're just, taking daddy hacks, trying to hit the biggest home run they've ever hit. It's like, guys, this is postseason baseball now. Like, we got to get some guys on, move them over, get them in.
Yeah.
And then defensively, they got to keep J-Ram and Steven Kwan in the yard. If they can do that, if they can just limit them to base hits and, nothing in the gaps, nothing over the wall, I think they'll be just fine, because those are Cleveland's 2 really hot guys, especially against the Tigers. They always find a way to do damage against the Tigers. So I think if they can keep them inside the ballpark, I got Tigers in 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we've got for you today. Now here's Owen Reynolds and Noah Petros.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're in these 2 segments. Myself, alongside my partner, Noah Petros, will be bringing you some more sports updates. This weekend was a playing of the 2025 Ryder Cup between Europe and America. For those of you who don't know, it is a golf tournament where each team has 12 players that play several events over the course of the weekend. This year, the Europeans defended the cup 15-13 and won for the first time on American soil in 13 years. Noah, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, Owen, that's really impressive. If Team Europe looked locked in from the very beginning, Rory McIlroy and Victor Hovland really set the tone, and the U.S. just never seemed to get into a rhythm. To come over here and win on American soil for the first time in more than a decade, that's a big accomplishment and a huge statement for European golf.
Yeah, that's definitely a great thought, Noah. First of all, I would just like to say that this American team played absolutely phenomenal on Sunday, but they just dug themselves into way deep of a hole for any sort of a comeback to seem to happen. Also, like Noah just said, the European team with their leaders, Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, all those guys, played absolutely perfect golf. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm, Rory went 10-1-1 combined record in the first 2 days, which is absolutely insane for those 2 guys to do that. And then on the other hand, with the Americans, you have Bryson DeChambeau and Scotty Scheffler, 2 of the top 5 golfers in the world, and they go 1-7 on the first 2 days, which just shows how big of a hole the U.S. had just dug themselves into, honestly.
I truly think that how on Sunday the Europeans knew they didn't need much to win, so that's why the U.S. was able to make up most of the grounds, but still the hole was already dug too deep for them.
Yeah, like you said, Americans were down 7 points heading into Sunday, and no team has ever even come back from down 5 before. So basically put themselves in an impossible situation to get out of. And probably, like you said, Noah, Team Europe probably just took their foot off the gas on the last day. Couple bright spots for the Americans, though. You could say Xander Schauffele played very well, and Cameron Young, the Ryder Cup rookie, both going 3-1 on the weekend for those 2 guys. And I thought that maybe Keegan Bradley should have played these guys more instead of Bryson and Scotty, even though Bryson and Scotty obviously way higher ranked. But Cameron Young and Shoffley playing a lot better. I think Bradley should have put him in for more events, personally. What do you think?
I mean, that could have all just been like a fluke playing good, but uh, when you're down like that, you just have to try anything because by keeping in like Scotty, it clearly wasn't working, and he had to make like a big change and fast, and they weren't able to do that.
Yep, they ended up falling short. Next, we're hopping back into the realm of football. The Lions won a big game last week against the Ravens, 38-30, and beat the Browns 34-10 on Sunday. This week, the Lions play against the Bengals without Joe Burrow. Noah, what do you got on these last two games and this upcoming one?
The Lions have really shown people like that they are like one of, if not the best NFL team. I know, like on the first drives of every game they've allowed touchdowns, but their defense has really gone back into rhythm. Jared Goff has had amazing games these past few weeks. Their run game has been playing amazing, and Aiden Hutchinson's looking back to his defensive player of the year self with 4 sacks through 4 weeks. And also on the Cincinnati side, they just came off a big loss to the Broncos in a game that Jake Browning did not look that good in. And Detroit's been, since week 1, they've basically been pounding every team that they've played.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'd like to focus on that topic you said of the defense because against the Ravens, they forced 2 big fumbles and they basically set up the offense in great positions and they end up winning that game. And then against the Browns, 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions from Joe Flacco, and another forced fumble. Where in that game, honestly, to me, against the Browns, none of the offensive stats really even jumped off the sheet to me. It was kind of just the defense played so good. They had the offense set up in great territory every single drive, and it just seemed like the Lions just capitalized completely. Going back to that Ravens game, I mean, like I said last week, if the Lions were able to win against the Ravens, then I believe that they are a Super Bowl contender again. They win on Monday night in Baltimore, big win. And I mean, like I said, I think this team is most definitely contender again. Against the Ravens and Browns as well, the run game was very strong. 217 yards and 2 touchdowns out of Montgomery and Gibbs for each of them. So they had 4 rushing touchdowns in that game against the Ravens. And then you look at the Browns, and they also play great on the run with the run game. More 2 touchdowns for them combined. And like I said last week as well, Lamar containing him would be a very big point. You had said that too, Noah. Containing Lamar, they hold him to only 35 yards. And believe me, folks, Lamar Jackson is an MVP candidate for sure. And the fact that this Lions defense holds him to that is very impressive.
Truly. And here's another thing to say about Baltimore this year. They did almost beat the Bills. They played great for probably the majority of the game and were probably the better team. They beat the Browns. That game wasn't even close. Even against Detroit, that game looked close at times. So Baltimore has looked as a great team. But against the Chiefs, they just could not find their rhythm. So I'm starting to think like maybe Baltimore is not living up to the hype, and maybe like Detroit just found Baltimore at like a bad time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you just said, Baltimore just got absolutely killed by the Chiefs last game that they played, and it kind of takes away from the Lions' win a little bit, the fact that the Ravens are 1-3. But I still believe the Ravens under John Harbaugh, very veteran coach. I think they'll still find a way to make the playoffs, definitely, and still probably make a run. Now we're gonna look forward to the Bengals game. I think the Lions coming into this, obviously new quarterback for the Bengals, Jake Browning. Brown or Bengals just lost 28-3 against the Broncos, which was a rough game for them, only scoring 3 points the entire game under Jake Browning. The offense just doesn't seem to click as much as it does with Joe Burrow. I expect this Lions team to score all over the Bengals, honestly, and lock down the offense. The defense has been playing good. I think they're going to continue it. And I think this defense is just going to absolutely shut down Browning. I mean, he can't put up a touchdown against the Broncos. I doubt he can do much against the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions 38-10 over the Bengals, and they're going to improve to 4-1. What do you think, Noah?
I truly think that how like Jake Browning has had his on and offs. Remember a few years ago he did come in when Joe Burrow was injured and he did lead them to a few big wins, but I just don't think that he has found his rhythm this year. He did not play that good against the Broncos. He did not play good last week, and without Joe Burrow, this Bengals team looks kind of lost. They had Trey Hendrickson and who led the league in sacks last year, got his new contract, and has not been looking the best so far. So this Bengals team is full of more disappointments. The Lions, after a week 1 disappointing loss, have looked a lot better. So I will be taking the Lions in this one, 52-3.
Ooh, I like that take, Noah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today, and we will catch you all in the next 2 weeks on the Beyond the Game podcast.